lot of the time in relationships, we don't communicate. Things might get heated from time to time, but you have to give each other the chance to rectify it. Sometimes you need to know when to stop communications with the other parent. It's not always going to work out and it's not always going to be perfect. It doesn't matter who does more, it just matters what the goal is. Regardless of what happens to us as parents, we still have beautiful children that need to come first. Welcome to Krystal Rowe Impacts, a space dedicated to empowering you to be the change that your bloodline has been waiting for. Join me and together, let's inspire change. Today we're going to be talking about co-parenting and what a nightmare it can be, but also what a beautiful thing it can be too. One of my favorite quotes is, "It doesn't matter who's right, it matters what's right." At the end of the day, regardless of what happens to us as parents, we still have beautiful children that need to come first. And when we focus on what matters, it's the kids. And sometimes it's really, really, really hard to navigate through a broken relationship, emotions, heartbreak, and all of the other things that are involved with either separation or divorce. Sometimes we get caught up with ourselves, how wrong we were done by, or all the other things. But if you have experienced a relationship breakdown, you will know that there is so much involved. However, when you have little children, young children, even adult children, they are hugely affected by a breakup. And a lot of the time, we are not able to communicate or to express and articulate ourselves in a way that we are able to come to one common goal. Now, it's really, really hard to communicate when your emotions are so high, when you are triggered, when you can't even look at the person in the eye that hurt you, or if your guilt and shame consumes you. It's hard to be able to communicate with somebody to be able to make an arrangement around the children. It's just reality. But there are a couple of things that you can do to communicate on a better level and to help you to not escalate a situation. Because at the end of the day, all you are trying to do is sort out the kids. It might be who's paying for what. It might be child support. It might be who's picking up the child from school, who is taking them to sports, who is keeping the child's routine effectively rolling. Now, the best thing that I can advise you on is to have respect. Now, how do you do that when you have just broken up with somebody? Now, the relationship ends. Your intimate relationship ends with that person. And you need to create a new co-parenting relationship. That sounds crazy. I don't want to have anything to do with this person anymore. But if you are a parent, you have to have a relationship with the other person. I know there's some extreme cases. I don't have anything to do with my children's father. And I'm very lucky in that respect to be able to just parent. Now, I have a beautiful relationship with my husband's children's mother, and we have a great communication. We have mutual respect, and we communicate very well. It's almost like mother to mother understanding. We are able to talk about what's best for the kids, what's best for each other. Sometimes she has to work, sometimes we have things up, and we just help each other to make the kids have a beautiful world. Because at the end of the day, that's the goal. If you are able to create one common goal with the other parent, and that is to have the child's best interest at heart, I can assure you that everything will start to run smoothly as long as you keep coming back to that goal. Yes, emotions may spike and things might get heated from time to time. But you have to give yourself and each other permission to stuff up. You have to give yourself and each other permission to say the wrong things, but you have to give each other the chance to rectify it. Because a lot of the time in relationships, things happen and we don't communicate on how to make the common goal work. It's not about trying to avoid things anymore. It's not about trying to blame anybody. It's about what is right. And like I said earlier, it doesn't matter who's right. It doesn't matter who does more. It just matters what the goal is. It matters who the goal is for. And making sure that our child or children have the best of both worlds, the best of each parent. And, sometimes co-parenting is really uncomfortable and it's really awkward. But if you can actually try and connect on some level and not make it personal, then you will be able to achieve the goal. You will be able to remove the negative energy. You will be able to avoid bringing up past experiences. And you will just be able to have a good relationship that achieves the common goal. And that is making sure that we raise beautiful children together. And it's not always going to work out and it's not always going to be perfect. But sometimes you need to know when to stop communications as well. I've done that myself, where my relationship wasn't always good with the other parent, and I actually just stopped communicating for a little bit until I was able to put my personal thoughts and emotions aside and actually realize and remember what was most important. And that was to be able to have a clear communication in regards to the child. It can be simple. You just have to not attach your feelings towards the other person, because at the end of the day, it's about the children. And if you need help to navigate through emotions, blocked traumas, forgive, and to heal, then reach out on our social media platforms. There's a link in the show notes as well if you want to have a discovery call or a chat about how you could actually co-parent better by removing some of the blockages between your relationships. Just from my own personal experience, I just want to give a quick tip about who communicates. Now, if there is two people in the co-parenting relationship that just can't communicate, that every time one person speaks, it triggers the other, then allow the other person to step back and step in and communicate on behalf of that parent. For me, my husband and his ex-partner don't really communicate too well. And so I have made it an intention for me to be able to have a good relationship with the ex-partner. And it kind of seems crazy now in hindsight that I have been able to do that. But the thing was, I set the intention for the relationship, because no matter what, the girl's mum is going nowhere. And it's either going to be heaven or hell. And I don't want to have awkward conversations or difficult ones. I am an adult and I am mature enough to be able to have a good relationship and communicate on what is important. And like I said, it's always about the kids. It's always about showing them as well how to have a good relationship. What are we teaching our kids? I want you to ask yourself, when you are going to have a co-parenting relationship, what are you trying to demonstrate to your children? Are you showing them a good person or an out of control person? Are you showing them somebody that can have good communication skills, that is positive and that is calm? Or are you showing them fighting and violence and awkwardness? because it's up to you. Be mature enough to sit down, set some goals and intentions for that relationship. You might need to set some boundaries, and you might need to bullet point some of the things that you need to talk about, whether it's finances, schools, extra activities. But just be mature enough. Be mature enough to have the first conversation, to communicate clear, and to set some good goals and intentions. And I'm sure you will be able to get through and be the best parents that you can be. And if you like this podcast, make sure you leave us a 5-star review, follow us on all social media platforms, and I'll see you in the next episode.